time to tag you. I'm going to tag you. Time to tag you. Time to tag you. Another episode of Tag Time. Welcome to Tag Time. I'm your host Halima Sadia. It's time to tag you. Another episode of Tag Time. Today I have with me two very dynamic personalities who are going to talk about the Muslim community and Bengali community. Their background is from Bangla. I have with me Hasan Mahmud, who is a Sharia expert, and along with him, very beautiful Samina Amin, a poetess, painter and HR specialist by profession, and is very actively putting her part with a lot of social work in the society. So I welcome you both, and I would start with Hasan Mahmud Sahab. What would you like to talk about the background of your work which you are doing, especially in reference of the book you have written?
Thank you. First, a correction, I am not a scholar, I am still a student. I have been doing it for many decades, but still I feel I am very much still a student. The subject is so vast. Well, I dedicated my last 20 plus years researching rigorously in the field of Sharia law, because no matter how you approach the violence in Muslim societies, most of the time, ultimately, it boils down to the root of Sharia law. Have you ever thought that out of millions and millions Sharia supporter Muslims, almost all of them are non-violent, but all the violent Muslims, without exception, are believers of Sharia law? There is a connection. So my struggle is to educate people by different means, by book, by movies, by speeches, educate about the nature of Sharia law, the constituent of Sharia law, and the attitude of Sharia law, and what are the laws itself from the Sharia book. That's all I do.
So Samina, you are from Bangladesh, which is the biggest example of democracy run by women. So what will be your take on that?
So I think we are fortunate to have such women leaders. Sheikh Hasina is one very dynamic woman prime minister in Bangladesh, and we are happy to say that the head of opposition, the leader of opposition, Khaleda Zia, is also a female, and we have the speaker.
Present opposition is Roshan Ishad. She is also a female.
Yeah, and also the speaker is a female. Having said that, I would say that there is, from outside the country, it may seem that with so many leaders being women, the country probably has, gone much further with women. But to be very realistic, where I'm actually living in Bangladesh, I would say there is so much more to do, so much more changes to be done, because women are still being oppressed. The majority of women residing in the villages, in the rural areas, are still so, there is a lot more to, happen for them, like in terms of their awareness, education, in terms of how the law is being implemented. There are rape cases, there are hila marriages, the education is still, the rates for women are not as what we would like to see. So there is a huge gap in between what the society can see from, looking at the leaders and the educated class, and then the people who are not so advantaged, the underprivileged.
So Hasan, here comes the question of Sharia. When we see Muslim leaders, I know that there was a time when Pakistan was having Benazir as the prime minister of the country. There was a lot of controversy that Islam does not allow women to be at a ruling stage. And then there was another question that when women are being given a half of everything how come they can rule a country being full, as a gender equality there. So what is your take on that?
Thank you. As about the women leadership in Islam, it depends whose Islam you are talking about. There is no one Islam in this world. That's why we are fragmented among 72 or 73 firqas, sects. had there been one Islam, there would have been no sect at all. So, yeah, in one interpretation of Islam, that interpretation of Quran and Prophet forbids women to be the state head, right? It is in Sahih Bukhari, volume 5, this number 7 cities. That Prophet said that no nation can progress if they put their leadership in a female's hand. But that this book has a chapter on women leadership in Islam. There is lots of proof that why that hadith is fabricated, totally fabricated. Plus, in Islamic history, in Khilafat time, we have the record of about 20 Muslim sovereign queens. Sovereign means widow.
But we did have one head of the state in Turkey too who was female at a point.
We have it in Mauritius, we had in Pakistan. What about Sukarno Putri of Indonesia, right? What about Sultana Razia of India, right? Sultana Razia is the only unmarried queen in human history. All these Muslim women, many of them had the support of central caliphate. That's why they had their coins of caliphate support on the coins, and one of the coins is still in Calcutta Museum, right? So, I mean, that is a very bad type of fabricated hadith. The tailor, the reporter of that hadith is only one person, and he disclosed it after 24 years after the death of the Prophet. For 24 years he was silent. There are many supporting evidence that this is a fallacious hadith, it's a conspiracy, but that interpretation of Islam left no stone unturned to subjugate women. They did it in every way possible, and women leadership is just one of them.
So what would you say, Samina, that how it affected the society, because predominantly Bangladesh is Muslim country. So how was the reaction, because how do you see this?
The reaction
of being women the head of the state, and it's a long history. So how would you?
No, women have. I mean, people accepted it. They have been having women leaders in these positions for a very long time. People have accepted that. There is no question about it. But I would say that, you know, it's almost like a double standard. They see women in these leadership positions, they accept it, but when it comes to their own treatment with women at home, there is no change in it. They would beat their wives. Women are being raped. The law and order needs to, tighten up a lot, and the rapists are not being, brought into the court and into the proper, legally they're not being. There are no trials happening. People cannot see the outcome being, the justice being done. So those are the things that are happening in the undercurrent. But on top, we see the women who are being leaders. So there is a gap, as I said. There is a huge gap, and there are people who are working on it. The government is working, maybe there needs to be more happening, a lot more. So that is what I see, that people are actually, they do not apply the same standard, the philosophy, the principles, treating women with respect, even on the streets, people are having, women are not secure. A lot of women feel that they're not, treated the way they should be.
So we will talk further about your movement, your school taking care in that, and your work. So let's go for a break, short break, and we will continue our talk where we are going to talk about Hasan Mahmud's book, How Sharia-Ism Hijacked Islam. So we will be seeing that what are the details about it. Stay with us.
पिछले 10 सालों में इंडस हॉस्पिटल ने ये कभी नहीं सोचा कि कैसे चलेगा ये अस्पताल जहां हो बिल्कुल मुफ्त मेयारी इलाज। सोचा है तो खुदा की रजा का, जिसने बनाया है आपको वसीला इंडस हॉस्पिटल का। 11 अस्पताल, सैकड़ों क्लिनिक्स के साथ इंडस हॉस्पिटल अब पाकिस्तान के 41 डिस्ट्रिक्ट्स में। इसीलिए ज़रूरी है आपका साथ।
Greenish Hair, Skin and Nails formula is packed with all the essential nutrients like biotin, omega-3, vitamins, and minerals to provide your hair, skin, and nails the nourishment that it needs. Like all other Greenish vitamins and supplements, the Hair, Skin, and Nails formula is gluten-free, dairy-free, soy-free, and non-GMO. It is also halal, kosher, and veggie certified. So make Greenish Hair, Skin, and Nails formula a part of your daily healthcare routine.
Welcome back to Tech Time. We are going to resume our talk where we left. Hasan, how would you express your views that Sharia-Ism has hijacked Islam? So, I don't know how you want to convey this to our audience.
That is a very loaded question. To be honest, the name of the book, Sharia-Ism, using this word Sharia-Ism, how Sharia-Ism hijacked Islam, is a very robust claim, and I must be able to defend my claim. Sharia-Ism means a political movement, right? Muslims must understand, Muslim world, especially our village Muslims who are mortgaged in the hands of political Islamists, they must understand why there are crores of Muslims against Sharia law. Why? They are believers too. The biggest Muslim organization of the world, its name is Nahdlatul Ulama. Last time I knew that it had a membership of 3 crores. Yesterday I saw a lecture of an imam. He said today its members are 6 crores. I will send you the cover of their book. From Nahdlatul Ulama, the biggest Muslim organization. The name of the book is The Illusion of Islamic State. In Bangla, Bibram, Islami Rashtra Bibram. Why so many ulamas, scholars are against Sharia law? My struggle is to reach this message to people. But how I do it? People will not come to conferences, peasants, fishermen, carpenters, shopkeepers, rickshaw pullers. So I made movies, romantic movies. These are the cover pictures. But in those romantic and emotionally loaded stories, I inserted references one after another from Sharia law, from the Quran, from the Hadith, in an unbiased way, in positive, in support of, in against of, so that people can make up their mind. I wrote book, yes, this is my book, what Sharia says and what we do. Sharia ki bole, amra ki kori. Its 4th edition is running. Now these tools are ready. Movies are one tool, books are another tool. Now how to reach our people? I live in Canada. We created, and we are fortunate, from Muslims Facing Tomorrow, that I am the General Secretary of, we launched this movement in deep villages from the roaring of politics and media and civil society of the capital. We created 2 activist groups in remote villages, and we are showing these movies to villagers. We are giving them this book to the villagers to read, not giving as a whole, but keeping in a house for a month. So by last 7-8 years, we enlightened people of about 50 villages where by today they know that Sharia is not a God's law, not even Sharia has many laws which contradicts the Quran, contradicts the Prophet, and of course you know it is brutally against women.
But the thing is, generally, doesn't it come from the policymakers to understand? The policymaker, when I talk about Sharia, it is all the imams and all the scholars who are working towards it to explain that Sharia is an Arabic word, which means Shariat, which means the laws. So laws, most of the Muslim world consider were drawn by the Prophet. So they usually take it as if it was done by the Prophet.
Of course.
So what is your take on that?
Of course it is said like that and it is established like that. When you go back from here, please Google Arabic of state law. You know what it will tell you? Bilaad al-Qanun al-Bilaad. Bilaad means country. Qanuns means state law. The Quran could have used the word Qanun. It didn't. So what's the meaning of Sharia? It is used, such a huge thing, establishment in Sharia, in the name of Sharia, it's used only 3 times in the Quran. Maida 48, Ashura 13 and Ghashiyah 18. Its meaning is moral code, ethical guidance. And that's why Quran, in about a dozen plus verses, it said it's a book of knowledge, it's a book of hidayah, it's a book of nur, it's a book of zikr, reminder, but never the Quran defined itself as a book of law. So someone is deceiving someone somewhere. The word Sharia is not a state law, it's moral guidance. Its literal meaning is the path created on the sand by animals to go to flowing water. Water in desert is life. Salvation, that is the spirit of the word Sharia. Now changing the meaning of Sharia from spiritual salvation from state law was the first major betrayal to the Quran done by Muslims.
I was just thinking, the question which came to my mind, that when we talk about the values always change. This is fluid thing. How come you can write a book about values? You can write it, but then you have to rewrite it because values changes with the time. What do you think about that? How do you see that the values of the society changes? So we need to determine new values. So it's important to have new values. So we need to write new Sharia for that. How do you think?
Well, this is actually a question more for Hasan than me, but because I have been involved with his book and I have been editing it and working with him closely on the book, all I can say is that in Islam, Surah Al-Imran verse 7, we were just talking about it the other day, that some of the verses are the foundation of this book, and some are allegorical. And like, for example, if you take the words for it, there were people traveling in camels 1400 years ago. Today we are not using camels anymore.
And there were no aeroplanes at that time.
Exactly. So don't take the word for it, take the spirit. But the words which are foundations of the book are universal. They stand no matter when, where, and what. But the allegorical part of it is all contextual. So the society is changing, and of course God knows the society would change. So when the Quran came, society was in one way. Today it's in another. But if we want to make sure that the book is relevant for all times, you have to understand how allegorically the meaning of it should be applied differently for different times and different cultures and different values. So I think that's where the gap has taken place. We are looking at the words and holding on to the words rather than looking at the big picture.
So what would you like to give our audience the message as you see Bangladesh, a democracy run by women, and you being a woman? So what is your message to the women?
I would say that, the message should not be for the women, it should be for everybody, that education and awareness, building awareness, and teaching the whole society that women are the integral part of it. Without women, it's like walking with one leg, for any society. You need both man and woman to have the balance. So for creating that respect, for creating that protection, I think it has to come from education, awareness, and the women will have to fight for themselves no matter what. Because they are being disadvantaged, they have to fight for their rights. So that is happening, but not at the level that we need to, much broader level. So the message is that, we need to teach the whole society, and education, there is no, that cannot be replaced by anything else.
I would like to add something to that. I didn't know that we would be discussing these things. Otherwise, I could have brought the Hanafi law book, 6,000 plus laws, plus Shafi law book, Umdat al-Salik, Hanafi law book is Hidayah. You could see that each of these books mainly contains 6,000 plus laws, Allah's law, established as Allah's law. Now, come to the Quran. How many direct laws are there in the Quran? A dozen plus. How many direct laws are in Hadith? 100, 200, 500? All the rest are man-made. Man-made, man with knowledge, man without knowledge, man with an intention, man gender-friendly, man against women. So it's all their contributions, thousands and thousands of laws. So how can you pour one drop of milk in a bucket of water and call it a bucket of milk?
I agree with you. And yes, thank you very much for being with us today. It's an endless talk. It's a very, very spreaded, huge topic, immense topic. So maybe we will discuss it sometime else. But I thank you both for participating in my show.
Thank you.
Thank
And
you,
thanks to
Halima.
the viewers. Thanks to Tag TV.
Viewers, society is built by men and women together.
Yes.
And it is the values of the society which determines the laws, how we should do and what we should not do to prevail ourselves as a positive, constructive society which is based on humanity. With these words, I would say every successful man has a hand of a successful woman behind him, but every successful woman has men behind her. This is, if we think, if we ponder upon, we will realize that societies are built by both equally sharing. We should only prevail, we should let only prevail those values, those systems which are based on rationality with us. With these words, thank you very much for watching my show today.
#1 multicultural channel. This is Tag TV.